Okay.
So let me just hit that.
Are we live?
Yeah, we are. We're live. All that was live.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's right. It was pretty ugly. Oh well. I think. I mean, we've been putting that it's pre-alpha in here all along. But basically, I think I'm just gonna, for the final version that I post up as a video, I'm just gonna start it right here again. So we'll get started. Yes. So yeah. So we'll get started all over again. This is GamesBeat Decides episode pre-alpha number 2, beta unfinished. Incredibly ugly product so far. We're figuring everything out. Basically, on this podcast, every week we're going to take a couple of topics and we are going to try to make a decision on them. At the end of the year, that's going to mean picking the top 10 games of the year. Right now, it's going to be deciding whether or not you should buy a PlayStation 4 Pro. The idea is that we're going to make these decisions so you don't have to think about it, and we're always right, regardless of what Jason says. So I think before we get into everything, I'm going to have each of you guys introduce yourself, starting with Dean. Dean, go ahead.
I am the lead writer for GamesBeat.
Hi, I'm Jason Wilson. I'm the managing editor for GamesBeat and the leader of these knuckleheads.
Woo. Go for it, Michael.
I'm Mike Minotti, and I hate Jeff, and I yell at him.
Well, this is a perfect opportunity for you to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the man we put in charge of community, folks.
So up first, we're going to talk about the PlayStation 4 Pro. Now, I've been playing it. I don't think any of you guys have even touched it before. Is that right?
Correct.
Nope.
Correct.
And yet we are going to decide whether or not people should buy it. And I think this is going to work because you guys are going to have questions. I'm going to have answers. And you guys all have money and know what it's like to spend money, right? So I think we can come to a pretty good consensus here about whether or not this makes sense. So,
yeah. Well,
first
of all, Jeff, you should probably talk about the review you posted this morning of the PlayStation 4 Pro.
Yeah, I guess that's a good place to start. So, to kind of give it an overarching theme, we're going to try to decide whether or not people should buy a PlayStation 4 Pro. That's going to be a kind of our basis here as we move forward. So, to start with my review, yeah, it went up this morning. The embargo lifted at like 5 a.m. Pacific time. And my general feeling about the whole thing is it's a very tough system to figure out because you need to know who it's for, and I don't know if Sony has done a great job of making it clear who it is for so far. When you realize this is a machine for people that maybe just own 4K televisions and almost no one else, it's a little bit easier, but then at the same time, that's so few people, and I just don't know how much sense it makes for anyone who already owns a PlayStation 4 to go out and buy this system. And at the same time, it works. It's great. The 4K looks better. The HDR looks better. But I don't know. And I'm wondering how you guys are feeling kind of, as we are 3-4 days out from the system finally hitting. What are you guys' feelings about the PlayStation 4 Pro and what people should do about it?
I feel heavily indifferent about the whole thing, which... I kind of hate. I kind of like to be a passionate person. I kind of like to have positive or negative feelings about a thing, but there's just something very I don't know if appeal is, but the whole thing's just not very sexy, right? It's not a very fun product in a lot of ways, right? Like the things that it does better, it does a little better. It's still very clearly a PlayStation 4. I know they never said it wasn't going to be that, but it still just doesn't feel like a significant enough of an upgrade to get excited about.
Now, did you feel this way about Scorpio, Mike? Which is the enhanced Xbox?
That seems like even just a little bit better, but I don't know. None of these half system things are really doing too much for me.
So Scorpio is going to be the big system that comes next year. It's like the 6 teraflop system, the real next generation system.
It's not a real They're still not saying it's a real next generation system, though. I think they are positioning it as their own version of the PlayStation 4 Pro. It's just coming out a year later and is more powerful. We'll have to wait and see how they message that. I don't think it's going to be the Xbox 4 or whatever we're on now.
I think that just by them saying 6 teraflops is the target, that they're going to be like several times above others are. So I think that it is going to be next generation. I think the Xbox One S going up against the PlayStation Pro this season is something where it really you can't get that excited about either one of those, I think. So as Mike said, the Xbox One S is a half system sort of upgrade as well. And I think, I'm not in the market right now for a 4K TV. I still haven't really had a compelling reason to go out and throw out my 40-inch TVs and get some kind of 50 or 60-inch 4K TV. So until I do that, the PlayStation Pro isn't going to be that appealing. And so I think maybe by the end of next year, when the Project Scorpio comes around, though, I might be more ready to make that kind of
do any of you own a 4K TV?
No, but I'm in an interesting space because I've got one of the last Pioneer Kuro TVs, which is a fantastic plasma that does really deep blacks, which already makes it a little more difficult for gaming because deep blacks in games aren't always good, as I discovered when I played through Doom this summer. Excuse me. But at the same time, I'm also considering upgrading to a 4K television in the next year or two. And I'm having problems with my PlayStation, and I'm in a kind of a different space than a lot of people. I consume all televised media through my PlayStation. I watch PlayStation View. I use Netflix through that. I use Amazon Prime through that. I don't do that for the Xbox One. I don't have Xbox Live. So I have a problem with my PlayStation, though. It ejects discs all the time, and it's very annoying. But I don't want to
launch
set it
systems
up.
they always have one thing that affects a lot of people, and that was this generation that was affecting a lot of people. You're not alone there.
No. And I don't want to send it off to get fixed because I don't have another device for my wife or children to watch something on. And if that was gone for 2 weeks, my wife would throttle me. So I did a very unorthodox thing. In preparing for the 4K TV I'll be buying either next year or 2018, I went out and pre-ordered a PlayStation 4 Pro today.
Huh, okay.
And I did that for several reasons. Number one, because I want to get rid of this ejecting discs problem. Number two, I don't want to send it off the PlayStation to get fixed because I can't afford to have it gone that long. Number three, I really like the idea of a bigger hard drive on my machine because I've come up a couple times with bumping on the running out of space problem. And number four, and this is going to sound really silly, but it's the new device, and I want to try it out and see how it works just on a standard HD TV playing standard games on it and see what happens with it. I'm very curious to see what that experience is like. And you might go, well, why? Because it's not really targeting you. But Sony keeps talking about how we're not going to leave the people who have HD TVs behind and don't have 4K TVs. Well, I want to see if that's true or not, and I want to see if that works with the Pro.
Well, I could say that I could talk on that with some experience so far. So using it on a 1080p TV, which is the TV I have, I had a 4K monitor that I was able to get 4K on. But using it on a 1080p TV, it's hard to see if there's a difference. It's a very tough thing to eyeball, especially if you're not doing a Pepsi challenge where you have one next to the other, which I wasn't going to bring another TV downstairs and set up my old PlayStation 4. I just wasn't going to do that because I imagined I still wouldn't be able to tell much of a difference, or I wouldn't have confidence in the two different TV sets giving me a reliable data set. But it does seem like maybe things are smoother because of the super sampling, which is basically where the game renders it at a higher resolution and is able to bring it back down to 1080. And then that eliminates some of the rough edges around rounded objects that are moving. That's the promise of super sampling on the PC, which is something we've had for a while. And getting it on a console, that is interesting, and there's some potential there. I don't know, again, if that's worth upgrading if you are happy with your PS4 and you're not having ejecting disc problems. And then, but beyond that, the HDR is kind of, I think, the much more interesting thing.
So let's start by describing what HDR is.
Right. So HDR is high dynamic range. Now, you might know you have an HDR button on your smartphone, maybe. You press that, and you're like, oh, makes the deep darks and, light whites and stuff like that. And HDR on a television is similar, but it's still very different. basically HDR on television is a wider color spectrum. So we've been using a really kind of old 8-bit color spectrum for a while, and that gets the job done. But now they're bumping up to 10-bit, and this is a lot more specific in what it's able to recreate from the real world. And then at the same time, it also does very black darks and very bright white lights. So you might have a situation, and I use this in the review, I think, where if you're in a cave and there's a beam of light, a shaft of light coming down through the top of the cave, that cave will be completely dark, but that beaming white light will look very bright, and it'll look way more natural than you get on an older television. Now the thing is with HDR.
So
go ahead.
The way you're describing this, it sounds like this is a very good, if a very small use case that pertains to people like me who have televisions set to deep blacks.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think it does apply to you because the HDR is a new standard, and I don't know how old your television is, but it might be HDMI like 1.1 or 1.2, and I think you need a more recent HDMI cable to take advantage of HDR. I think you need at least 2.0. So I would be hesitant to recommend anyone get a PS4 Pro because they have a high contrast ratio on their television. You still need all the new technology that is mostly going to be built into 4K TVs. I mean, for example, if you go out and buy a 4K TV right now that's like $500, $600, it probably doesn't have the right HDR standard to take advantage of the PS4 Pro. So go ahead.
Jeff, what did you think about this problem people have pointed out that it's almost 4K?
Let's talk about that in 1 second. Let me finish up with HDR real quick and point out that I think one of the biggest issues I think that I would point out to people thinking about upgrading, and this applies to people who already own a PS4, is Sony updated the original PS4 to support HDR, and HDR is far more important than 4K in my opinion, especially on a television. It makes a bigger difference. Going back to that Pepsi challenge, if you see a TV running in 4K and you see a TV running in 1080p with HDR, I think most people are going to say the HDR version looks better. And I think that's going to be true for like 9 out of 10 people. I'm pulling that on my ass, but I'm pretty confident in that. So the fact that the original PS4 supports this, it's almost like if you are upgrading your TV to get HDR, maybe hold back, see if your PS4 is good enough for now, and then, if it's not, maybe then upgrade to the Pro. Okay, but as for, so Dean brought this up. So the PlayStation 4 is only $400. To get a PC that runs 4K, you need to spend like, $1,500, at least, to start getting in that range. So how is Sony doing this? They're not really doing 4K. It's not native 4K. It's a lot of cheating and tricks. And I want to say, before I kind of explain my feelings on this, does that bother any of you guys?
If you can tell the difference, yes. If you can't, then maybe not.
I mean, I guess it's kind of a little dishonest in a way, right? I mean, I'm not the greatest with these resolutions, but if you're selling somebody something, you're calling it 4K, and it's 4K with an asterisk is what you're really getting.
And it is 4K with an asterisk, but I think that Sony is doing something smart here, and they're doing something that this space needs, and they are letting people know that 4K with an asterisk is probably good enough in most cases. The thing is, you're sitting 10 feet away from your television. If you set up your family room like most people set up their family rooms, the TV is sitting away from a couch with multiple chairs all around, and it's in a position where everyone can see. And from that distance, the difference between 4K and 1080p is very minimal. The difference between 4K and 2K, it's probably almost indistinguishable. But Sony is being very smart here with the 4K, and they are using some interesting technologies that takes like 2K information, 2K renderings, and recreates a 4K image through algorithms that are very low in compute process requirements. And the end result is something that looks almost indistinguishable from a natively rendered 4K. And they save a ton of horsepower for other things. And I think that this is probably the thing that Xbox should definitely look into if they are going to try to like ram out 4K with just raw processing power. They're going to be in a bad situation, I think, compared to PS4 Pro. And I also hope this technology is more common in PC gaming, so that my GTX 1080 can get 4K 60 or 4K with an asterisk in 60 frames per second more regularly. So I think that they're doing something smart here. So it doesn't bother me. I think I'm glad they're doing it. But again, I mean, you guys would probably have to see it for yourselves and decide if that is something that bothers you.
My concern is, in their ads and in their marketing, are they saying specifically 4K TV?
So I think they have definitely been saying 4K, video and 4K gaming. That's how they're hyping it up. I mean, they're saying HDR as well. But I mean, you probably need a 4K TV to get HDR almost across the board. So I mean, I guess we should kind of bring this back around to our initial decision. Jason says he's getting one. He's pre-ordered one. I think he's in a very specific situation though, where his PS4 is bothering him right now. So he's more likely in need of an upgrade than most people. But Dean and Mike, what about you guys? I mean, any chance you guys are going to get one of these?
I'll defer to Dean.
No, I'm not going to get one. Not buying a TV yet either. So that's more the thing that decides it for me. So I'm gonna wait.
I'm kind of still just caught up on Dean calling Project Scorpio a next gen system, but no, I mean, I'm probably still going to hold off on a 4K TV for a while. For me, there's a lot of factors that I don't really feel that the need for that kind of an upgrade right now. And honestly, I'm doing so much of my gaming on PC at the moment anyway. Just the idea of like paying that much for an upgrade maybe, but a slight one. It's worth saying too, an upgrade that doesn't necessarily unlock new games is not very exciting, right? To me, and that's what I guess I'm kind of tying the next gen thing, right? That's what next gen is this idea of like, look at all these like new games you can play on this new system. There's nothing new that you can do on this. It just looks better. So, whatever.
Okay, I broke Jason there. I'll fix that. Okay, so I think we should probably come to a real decision though. So, I would probably say that as the GamesBeat decides, overarching decision, it's no. I think you probably shouldn't upgrade at this point.
It's more of a wait and see.
That's right.
It really depends on when you plan on diving into 4K.
I mean, if you don't have a PlayStation 4 and you're gonna get a 4K TV, then obviously that's a much better argument. Oh, Jason's flash dancing.
Yeah, I'm fixing it. It's that's just gonna. All right, there we go. Much better. So, and I think that's probably.
I was just astro projecting into another plane. That's all.
And I think that's okay. So I think that's exactly right. So if you already own a PS4 Pro or a PS4 and you're happy with it, I think our answer is no. If you don't own a PS4 at all, or if you have the money to spend on a 4K TV, if you have one, and you don't mind having that second PS4, I think in that case you can go ahead because it's going to have the content. If you have a 4K TV, you need 4K content, and this is probably one of the best places to get it going forward. So yeah, I feel pretty comfortable with that. How about you guys?
I feel good, but I'm really just excited about how if I can just like point at everybody.
Yeah.
I do want to say though that it's been getting a lot of flack for its design. You know how it really looks like it's half a PlayStation topped on top of a PlayStation. Mm-hmm. But I have to say this, I like it. It looks like a ziggurat to me. It evokes that image to me, and I think that's kind of cool.
Let's pretend I'm not smart and don't know what a ziggurat is.
Ziggurat?
Yes.
I don't know what it is either. I'm with Mike on this one. I'm 33. I'm about to be a father, and I don't know shit.
I know what a PlayStation is. There's one.
Yeah.
I know what you guys did. You flunked history class. That's what you did.
I can look up. What's a ziggurat? I don't know.
I'm going to Google ziggurat right now.
See?
I'm going to tell you what it is.
Okay, so while Dean Googles that, I think it's time to move on to our next topic.
It's like a pyramid-like thing.
Okay, yeah.
The Mesopotamians created.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I get it now.
And the Aztecs and the Incas.
Well,
Did
yeah,
you just say an Aztec pyramid?
Yeah, no, that's what I would have said
Because
like a
it's called a
child.
ziggurat.
Okay, well, it's definitely time to move on. Our next topic is going to be talking about holiday shooters. This year's pretty crowded with them. I would say, and maybe this is because of the absence of games like Assassin's Creed, it feels like we have more shooters than any other game, and maybe more shooters than what is typical. So I think people are going to be forced to choose between them. I know Electronic Arts says that we're not going to. We're going to, there's plenty of people to play Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2, which they release within a half hour of each other. But you know, I think like me, most people are going to have to choose one and stick with it. So let's I think we should go over them. And you guys can help me remember. There's Titanfall 2, Battlefield 1, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. Did I say Infinite Warfare the first time? Yeah. And then Gears of War 4, I guess maybe fits in there a little bit.
It does.
Anything else?
You get zombies in Spaceland in Infinite Warfare as well.
That's right.
I mean, we can that's almost all that Call of Duty stuff's almost kind of one thingy.
I know, but like I mean,
and these shooters at the same time are coming out and still competing with, one could argue, the likes of Counter-Strike and Overwatch, which are thriving right now.
No, yeah, totally.
I'm pretty much still just kind of playing Overwatch.
I'm finding myself like, man, I should make time for Overwatch instead of just Titanfall 2 and in the past couple of days because I've been testing the PS4 Pro Modern Warfare Remastered. So yeah, but we got to pick one.
I feel uniquely qualified to talk about this one.
And I think Dean,
you like Call of Duty a bit more than some people seem to, Dean.
And I think Dean should kick us off here.
But Dean's the one who's played all of these.
I've played every single player campaign, and I played every multiplayer version for all of these games as well.
So Dean, what should we be playing?
Yeah.
Which one?
Well, can I waffle a bit first? So first I'm going to describe the experience, right? So Battlefield 1 is an awesome experience. The single player is great, but the single player is way too short. I mean, you get like 2 to 3 maybe episodes for some of the characters, and no more than 4 or 5 battles for some of these major characters. And so they split it up. Instead of a single player campaign with one continuous story, you get like 5 stories, and they all leave you wanting something more. So Battlefield 1, it still has the great unique 64 players in a session multiplayer, and that's great. It's very unique that way, but the campaign sort of left me wishing that they had finished the game. They really kind of gave us a taste. It reminded me of one of those old Command and Conquer games where EA gave us 7 missions each and said that was your whole story, that was your whole campaign. It just doesn't quite cut it. So Call of Duty Infinite Warfare has a great single-player campaign, a very long one. It's got characters that you remember and characters who have a unique arc to their stories. And they brought in a couple of key people from Naughty Dog in order to make sure that this emphasis on story happens. And as one of them told me, Taylor Kurosaki, he says if you have a great story to go with something like a great action scene, you're actually going to care more about that action scene if you actually care about the characters who are inside that scene. And I think that's true. So Call of Duty wins there. Multiplayer is good, but it is, I'm finding it to be really hard. So I leveled up 16 levels and over the weekend, and I'm doing terribly. I can't hit anything.
Well, Dean, can I ask you? I want to ask you about the Infinite Warfare multiplayer. Have you gone into the point where you are not just like unlocking new guns, but you are unlocking new versions of the same guns that are much more powerful? Like, have you done that yet? Because
so go ahead.
In the beta,
at level 16, I'm getting a little bit of that, but not much.
Okay, well, I think so you get like in-game currency, and you need to like unlock better versions of the weapons to kind of even compete. So I was doing really terribly in the beta, and I'm like, what is wrong? Like this, I used to be pretty okay at Call of Duty, and this just stinks. This is not fun at all. And I went and I discovered that like, I need to go get like the the blue. They do the color coding for like the rarity. Like I need to get a very rare version of that gun that will actually be able to kill people. Because before that, it was just like it felt like the Klob from GoldenEye. So
that's exactly my problem right now. Is that I am actually noticing that I'm hitting other players, and it is not killing them. And then, so even when I got the drop on them, I shoot them first. They wind up shooting me and killing me, and I don't quite get that unless that's exactly what you're talking about there. And then as for Titanfall 2, the single player campaign was surprisingly good. I actually enjoyed it, and it had some very interesting sort of twists in it. I won't spoil the twists, I guess, but the gameplay was really fun in Titanfall 2's single player campaign. I'm noticing that on multiplayer, that's also fun, but there isn't as much variety to it as I can't exactly pick some of the things that I really want to play for a long time, like say, like a domination mode or a team deathmatch mode. I have to sort of select some of these things that will rotate, like the mixtape, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's not quite as good. I'm also noticing that it's taking longer for me to get a match.
What are you playing on?
There aren't enough people on the Xbox One.
I've been playing on Xbox One. What mode do you play mostly when you try to get a match and it takes a while?
I think on the mixtape.
Okay, mixtape is definitely underpopulated for a while, and that's
I feel like that's your attribution and what's that, the money one, and probably
it's bounty hunt and attrition. Yeah.
So what I call attribution.
I was thinking about this with Titanfall, and I was wondering. So this is purely anecdotal, but talking to some clerks at GameStop today when I was making my pre-order for the PlayStation 4, I asked them about Titanfall, and they said in their store that there were more people buying Titanfall than Battlefield, though Call of Duty was still the bigger seller. And I was just wondering what if more people are playing Titanfall and focusing on the campaign instead of multiplayer right now? And they're playing multiplayer in the other games, and then they're going to dive into Titanfall multiplayer when they get tired of multiplayer in the other two games.
It's definitely possible.
The other thing I'd say about the Titanfall 2 campaign is that it is also short, and it's they did not really try as hard to do the Hollywood style single player campaign
That's a good thing.
Call of Duty has. I mean, Call of Duty has a half dozen really well done characters.
But that's not really a negative or positive, right?
No, it's not.
Titanfall 2 has one character that you don't really get to know and that you don't care about that much.
Yeah.
It's simply a vehicle for showing off good gameplay.
So
which is what they have.
So I will say that I've definitely heard people kind of, that's the big criticism for Titanfall 2's campaign is you don't even know why the people are fighting, and you don't know the characters. You don't really get to know them. The BT, your Titan like friend, you get to know him pretty well, and he's an interesting character. But no, it definitely is. It doesn't feel like it's trying to do the Call of Duty like action Nicolas Cage 1990s movie at all. It is trying to be, and I said this in my review of it, like it's trying to be like a Super Mario Galaxy 2 or Super Mario Galaxy, where it's like just one interesting gameplay trick after another.
I know when I talked to them back when I went to the preview event, they said their bigger inspiration, and they didn't say Call of Duty, was Half-Life, and I think that almost kind of it's not set piece based, right? It's mechanic based. So you're saying here's a mechanic, and it's kind of more design based, and like I like that sort of Call of Duty style campaign, but again, after playing that every year, I can still play it and have fun, but it's not something I'm looking forward with doing.
So, as the guy who doesn't play a lot of shooters, I have a couple questions about Titanfall. That's the one I've played the most of. I've played a little more than an hour of the single-player campaign, and I've got two major questions. Number one, does the running on walls thing turn into more of a gimmick? Because right now it just feels like something you do for a 5 seconds here, 5 seconds there, just to help you get around.
I mean, there's definitely entire levels built around the wall running, without a doubt.
It's sort of like a puzzle mechanic almost. Like you have to figure out how to jump from one place to another without dying.
Yeah, but I will say, and I think this is something that's an issue with the game and the way it teaches people to play is you should be wall running and jumping around and double jumping whenever you can, even if it even the space feels kind of small or like spread out, or like you can't be wall running. You probably can if you just sort of look around a little bit more and do it like throughout an entire battle. it makes everything more fun when you are kind of getting the most out of the levels by wall running at all times. But to answer your question directly, yeah, absolutely. It turns into, I mean, a gimmick might be the right word, because it's like a gimmick for one level is here's how we're going to use wall running. And then the next level, like here's more wall running, but we're going to use it in an entirely different way. But they do that with like a million things and not just wall running.
And the second thing I've noticed is that the AI is stupid. And it's tactically stupid. It comes out of cover. It comes out of good positions to come and get you, instead of waiting for you to come to it when it has a very fortified position.
Right, but if you're not coming to get it, like I feel like if you're noticing that, you're actually doing something that you're not taking advantage of what the game's giving you the capabilities of doing. So I was talking to someone online about this last night, and I was saying they're like Goombas. They are. As you are wall running and you're jumping and you're doing the double jump and you land on an enemy and you do your melee attack, you go right back into a wall run and bounce off a tree and then come down and take out the next guy and the next guy. And you can do that with your gun or by jumping on them literally like a Goomba. And they're just there for to give you something to beat up and interact with in between these awesome moments of movement. So. Yeah, they're dumb, but you're not supposed to be playing this like a cover shooter or.
Isn't that kind of a criticism of almost all these games, though? Do any of them have really smart AI grunts?
Someone was saying like Doom's like demons are smart or something like that.
Dooms were pretty good,
but I just it's not the same thing at all. Like it's just so.
Yeah, because to me that's just not very appealing. And the third thing, and this really annoyed me. You go, you get the battery, you put it into BT. And then he says, go get another battery. And here I am, been playing for more than an hour, and I'm still not in a goddamn mech. Excuse my language. I want to be in the mech. Why?
That's just pacing, though. That's good pacing. You can't just start off in the mech.
I agree I agree it's really it's paced really well. I think they tease it out.
It's paced horribly.
No, I
think they're
flying an X-wing and swing around a lightsaber in the first 10 minutes of A New Hope, Jason.
But there's a difference between that and a game that sells itself as, this is a game where you're fighting in mechs and having a great deal of time in mech combat. I'm not in that yet.
But the Pollock game is just as intriguing.
I actually interviewed them, right? And they talked about how they wanted to gradually get you on board and really fully teach you how to play. So you can learn some of this in the tutorial, but the best place to learn is actually in the game.
I mean, it sounds like it's still in the tutorial levels.
You're supposed to be learning how to wall run and to jump and
to be a pilot.
Some of those other things. And then eventually you're going to learn how to be a better mech player as well. And so I think they do actually. I mean, I think you should stick with it on that basis because they're going to get you into a mech and they're going to show you the right skills so that actually that's going to carry over to multiplayer where, if you've mastered some of these things in single player, then they'll be more important to you in multiplayer.
Yeah. But here's my criticism. I'm the kind of guy who doesn't care about being Mr. Soldier Boy running around. I want to be in a mech.
But you're not a soldier though. You're a Jedi.
You want the game to be mech assault, and that's it's not what it is. And I would say, I know the game promotes the mech thing a lot, but I don't think it promotes itself as primarily a mech game. It's very forthcoming about the whole hybrid pilot.
But that's
the trailer.
How does it suffer for the fact that it's trying to do these two different things?
No, not at all. Not even a little bit. It is.
That's what makes it good.
Yes, it keeps the pacing up. Like I think Mike's absolutely right about that because. Okay, so you're not in the mech yet. It sounds like you're very early on. Once you get in the mech, the game is going to just start throwing different things at you all the time, whether or not you're in the mech or as a pilot. And each one of those things is fun in a different way. And they leave you kind of right at the point where you're like, okay, I fully understand this, and now I'm an expert. And they're like, okay, well, here's something else you can do that's going to test you in a different way. And having you go between the being a pilot and being a mech, and I would say being a pilot is not being a soldier boy at all. You are a Jedi. Like you are double jumping, and you're when you go on the field, everyone on all the AI grunts are like, oh my god, it's a pilot. This is crazy. We have to face off against one of these guys, and that is actually like basically how they've been selling the game. If you've seen any of the trailers, they're like, oh, the pilots are these amazing guys who could do all these amazing things. And you have to establish that baseline of you being this great pilot before piloting a mech makes sense. And then once you do have that, you get this great relationship between yourself and the robot. And when you get to levels where you have to split up, you'll have the confidence to be able to do that, so that you'll still be having fun once you break away. I would agree with Dean. Give it a little bit more time before leveling this as a real criticism, because it's just not. I want
to pick at Call of Duty, and I haven't played. So
actually, Jason, let's
finish up Titanfall and then go to Call of Duty.
Let me tell you one more thing too. Remember, Titanfall's big advantage was the wall running, and Call of Duty has sort of stolen that and given you a high jumping as well. I found that wall running actually makes you vulnerable in multiplayer, and so it's not that big a advance as has been advertised. I think just jumping high and being able to shoot while you're jumping high is how I've seen a lot of the good players really play Call of Duty really well. And the same for Titanfall. You just go to high ground, you're in good shape. The other thing is that in Titanfall 2, there's another mechanic that they introduced late in the game.
Don't spoil it.
That is actually very interesting.
Yes.
And it's another thing that Call of Duty doesn't really have. And I think that's what got me a little more excited about playing Titanfall 2 all the way.
Yeah, I was talking about this mysterious end game mechanic, and
it's not completely at the end, but it's about, I would say it's about 2/3 of the way through. But it's just like the most extreme version of them taking one idea, building an entire level around it, and letting you just explore that and explore what it means. But I think, Jason, let's move on to Call of Duty. What were your thoughts there?
So I've seen people who are saying it's like a poor person's mix of Halo and Wing Commander, in that the fighting is kind of Halo-ish, but at the same time, when you're in your ship, it's like you're fighting in Wing Commander, but neither really lives up to either of those games. It's kind of like it's a bit of a compromise, especially when you're flying, because you're on rails. And do you get that sense?
I had mixed feelings about flying the spaceships in Call of Duty, because you're right that it is a little too easy. It's a lot easier than any other flight sim out there. And so it's, like Wing Commander is a full flight sim, just like the old days, combat flight simulators. And Call of Duty is much more two-dimensional. Like, you're fighting on a plane, and everything you need to shoot or go after is on a plane. And almost very rarely are you going up in the third dimension, up high, or going through full revolutions to try to run somebody down. And they sort of said that was part of their intention, is that they didn't want to make the flight too hard. And they also wanted it to make it feel like, you were you're controlling an infantry soldier. Like, you can go left, right, up, down, jump, do things like that.
Yeah, they never want to confuse players, so yeah, they keep it simple.
You can hover up and down in your craft, or completely go just around in circles, chasing people.
Isn't this kind of like the fact that the spaceships basically control like the people? Isn't this kind of like a sign of what maybe the problem of Call of Duty is? They're sort of afraid to challenge their players at this point.
I think it's the antithesis of Titanfall. Hard. Yeah.
Like one example of how they didn't make it hard is when you crash into a capital ship, you just bounce off of it.
Right.
and there's like
reflector shields at max.
they've littered the landscape full of other fighters and capital ships every time you're going around, and so you just bump into things all the time.
I appreciate a game that never wants to frustrate me. I understand that. I get it.
You're dumb. You need a game.
That's right. That's why I try to only keep people around me that just say nice things, which is why you're done, Mike. But just having Call of Duty in the same year as Titanfall 2, I think really highlights the issues with Call of Duty's kind of whole thing, with everything they're trying to do. It feels too safe. It feels like it's a blockbuster that doesn't want to rub anyone, the wrong way at all, ever. And that means they won't do the interesting things. Now, I still think there's plenty of people that want that and love it and will buy it. I just don't think it's the one that people should get this year. Now, I think we've kind of, Dean, you've covered all of them now. We've talked about.
Well, I think there's one little bit of thing that I think the thing they did do for the traditional Call of Duty fans was they made the weapons also much easier to pick up and not be confusing as well. So. You may get some weird energy weapon and you have no idea what it is. It'll maybe remind you of Halo. They don't do that. They give you things that are like shotguns, assault rifles, sniper rifles, and submachine guns, and that's it, right? Those are the weapons that you get, and you know how to use those things. And so when you pick them up in multiplayer or you pick it up in single player, these are very familiar weapons, and so. Again, I think this is actually a good thing because they changed it to sci-fi, and they could have confused everybody with that move.
Yeah.
And I think keeping some things the same and familiar as unique Call of Duty things, like these guns, all feel like Call of Duty guns for sure.
So
I have a question about the change in setting.
Go for it.
So you're talking about here how Call of Duty is reluctant to take risks. But is abandoning the, near future setting or the modern setting of warfare to go into sci-fi totally whole hog? Is that a risk for Activision with the Call of Duty audience? Or is that the audience more about the style of play than the substance of the, not the substance, but the substance of the play than the style of the play?
They've already been flirting with sci-fi for so long, even if it wasn't quite this much. I still like the reaction when they showed us was kind of a groan from people, right? They're like, "Oh God, more sci-fi." I think it's, even though they're going a little further in it, I still think it's safe in a way. I don't know. I think it was kind of a bad decision.
I'd sort of build on it. I think it's actually a good decision. Now that I've played it, I mean, at first I had a very bad reaction to it, and I thought, hey, this is Halo, right? This is not Call of Duty. But they made the smart move of including Modern Warfare Remastered in the game so that you can play Modern Warfare if you really want it. But if you go to the sci-fi world, you're going to get some more interesting things like a different story, fresh new types of enemies. You get somewhat different weapons. And I think it was smart of them to make some of that leap safe by giving you very familiar weapons like shotguns and assault rifles. But you also got to fly in space. So there are things that make the leap novel and innovative, but also safe at the same time. So like I said, it feels to me like it's very well thought out to address the people who want to stay in modern war, to the people who don't mind going to sci-fi as long as it's still Call of Duty.
Okay, so I think we're in a good position now and I think we should probably rank these. I think we could do this pretty.
About Battlefield?
I think give Battlefield a very fair shake here. I know we're kind of running a little bit, maybe a little talk on Battlefield.
Okay, so here's what we'll do.
I actually wanted to pick a Battlefield first.
Yeah, so here's what we'll do. We'll have Jason pick a Battlefield. Maybe we'll talk about Gears of War a little bit. Then we will go ahead and rank these out pretty quickly. And then I have one kind of quick topic to finish this off, and then we'll say goodbye. So, Jason, why don't you go ahead and start? What's your pick at Battlefield?
So my pick at Battlefield is completely different than the lines we talk about. And this one's more about its infrastructure. I haven't seen any of the complaints about people getting into Battlefield that you have with past Battlefield games.
So EA servers have gone down a little bit, but it seems like they're EA server issues and not inherent issues with the game. So I just don't want people to yell at us in the comments or whatever, but you're right.
Yeah, and more than anything, was that the most important thing that DICE had to nail, getting sure that this game, when it hit the door, was one that people could get in and play satisfactory. And is that more important to success than anything about the setting in this case?
I think it's more important to the future success of Battlefield going forward. I think we'd had hints that DICE had figured this out. I mean, they did release Star Wars Battlefront, and that was basically the same tech, and it worked just fine. But getting a game out there with the Battlefield name that functioned and didn't piss people off with its terrible, network code or whatever the problem was. That was crucial, and they nailed that. And you're right. I think in general, on a long timeline, having this game come out and not be a technical failure was more important than anything else. At the same time, I would say it looks like the World War I setting is working. I mean, some social media issues aside, but it seems like it's working, especially in this landscape of the games that we've talked about so far, what it's going up against. I think it's standing out on its own by offering something different. And the people that do want something that's more thoughtful, that's a little bit, maybe thoughtful is not the right word, but something where it's more deliberate. And I think that this game serves them very well. And it's nice that they still have a game.
The other 3 shooters we're talking about are basically all that, sci-fi to varying degrees. Like Gears of War is still kind of sci-fi, even though it's all on Earth. But, there's things that are basically aliens. They're basically wearing like that Warhammer 40K armor. So,
right.
Yeah, Battlefield 1 just, looks... And it's weird how it's, different, but somehow nostalgic. Even though there weren't World War I games, it kind of has that feel of a World War II game.
Right,
yeah. Before, kind of like, oh, man. So, yeah, it is funny.
I thought Battlefield did a great job of selecting the locations where you fight, and so like the shores of Gallipoli or the Alps in Italy, flying up up in the skies,
the peaks of a ziggurat, right?
Yeah, not the ziggurat, but the Battle of Cambrai. All of these locations felt very unique to me, and I'd never seen some of these kinds of locations before, even though it's like Europe and
and that's something I kind of missed from Call of Duty, is that not that they were history lessons, but there was kind of like a fun thing, like, hey, this was an actual battle.
That first Call of Duty was that's what I think what made it stand out. Call of Duty 1. I remember reading reviews back before I was a huge PC gamer, but reading reviews of that game and being like, that sounds way more interesting and in this case, actually, yes, thoughtful than a lot of other shooters I've been seeing. So I think they established that a long time ago, and then Modern Warfare happened and everything changed. But yeah.
And I think the only thing they did wrong was they didn't have any actual trench warfare battles.
Well, you gotta have DLC.
It's like that's the whole 90% of experience of World War I, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that was always the thing. That was always the joke, right? You can't how you make trench warfare fun or even very gamey,
right? And they pointed out that it's more than just that.
And in fairness, World War I had a number of battles where trench warfare wasn't the thing.
And you're right, and that's what they did. They
there was some operating movement and some maneuvers, especially on the Russian-German front.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's right. So,
but that's because the Russian-German front was huge, with huge areas of land.
They left out the poor Russians too.
That's probably the next one. World War or Battlefield 1.5. Yeah, 1-2.
Either that or EA's anti-Putin.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So Gears of War, anything on that, guys? I think it's a good game. Yeah. It seems solid, but it is more Gears of War.
I enjoyed it. I felt like they had some very good gameplay elements in there. Like they did have this co-op mode where you're always trying to survive waves and waves of attackers, but they actually put that into the single player game as well. And those levels where you did that those were pretty fun.
Okay, let's rank these. So I'm just going to throw out, I think Titanfall should be number 1.
If I'm not allowed to vote for Overwatch, then yeah, Titanfall number 1.
Let's keep it simple. I was actually thinking about maybe bringing that in, but let's keep it a little bit easier than
we're talking about the holiday shooters.
Yeah. So, Titanfall 1, I think, Jason, you had the biggest criticism of that. Would you put anything above Titanfall 1? Or Titanfall 2?
I haven't played enough of Battlefield, and I haven't even played Call of Duty, so I'm just going to be more like sitting here just going,
Okay, fair enough.
I guess you could call me, the undecided voter who couldn't make up their goddamn mind.
All right, well then, Dean, how about you? Anything above Titanfall 2?
I would pick Call of Duty Infinite Warfare because of the better story that it has, and
well, that's just incredibly wrong.
The way you it makes you care about some of the battles, because it's a story where you're not the super soldier anymore. You're just sort of a regular sort of commander trying to survive, and you're trying to decide whether to be a boots on the ground kind of leader or a commander who orders people into the battle. And, you have a real dilemma to get you through this campaign. And I think that they made their closest move toward getting towards something like an Uncharted like experience. They're using the Naughty Dog guys to lead this path. But I think if you get there, then just from the playing the Uncharted games, I know that you get a much more elevated feeling of, wow, I played something great.
Okay.
Call of Duty's not all the way there yet, but that's where they're going, and that's what I like.
So here's what I think. I appreciate that, but I don't think story matters as much in a shooter as you're kind of implying. Maybe it does matter to you more, but I think in general, and I definitely for me, it doesn't matter quite as much. So I think what we should do is Titanfall 2 should be number 1, but I think Call of Duty, especially if we include Modern Warfare and Infinite Warfare in one package, if that's what we're doing, it should definitely be number 2, and then we can kind of move on from there. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I guess I would maybe put Battlefield in front of Call of Duty, but I'm one of those just very
right. You're very over Call of Duty. I understand that, but I mean, Dean's making his case, and he's going to throw a fit.
That's fine.
He's throwing a fit, so I think this is well.
I'm like, Dean's not Jeff. At least he's not stupid dumb. You know how hard it was to write that in reverse.
Yeah, it came out. It came out right. Okay, so then what do we put after that?
It came out wrong, Mike.
So Battlefield number 3 then, and then Gears of War.
Yeah, Gears of War has been, I don't know, hard to get enthusiastic about.
Yeah, I mean, it's still great. I think all these are solid games. That's why we're talking about it.
It's hard for you to get enthusiastic about it. I'm sure there's a lot of people who love it.
No, it's all about me, Jason.
There definitely are people, but I think even people that are enthusiastic about it admit they're enthusiastic because it's more Gears of War. But yeah, I don't think this is not a case of like a loser. It's just like the 4th best. Go ahead, Dean.
Oh, the one thing about Gears of War's story is that it forgets when it should be serious and when it should be funny.
That's right. That's a good point. I think that's going to wrap it up. So I think let's go over this one again real quick. It's Titanfall number 1, Call of Duty number 2, Battlefield 3, and then Gears of War 4 at 4. I feel pretty good about that. And then the earlier topic, whether or not you should buy a PlayStation 4 Pro. We said if you don't have one already, that's probably a good decision is to get that one instead of like a standard. It's only $100 more. However, if you do have one and you're happy with it, wait and see, because right now it's just Sony hasn't fully made the case for it. Now, I think what we're going to do now is this last topic, I think maybe just for me and Mike, because I want to choose the best Overwatch couples, and maybe me and it. So maybe only me and Mike will have opinions on this. So Dean and Jason, if you guys want to go ahead and say goodbye, we can wrap this up, and you guys can get back to work, and then me and Mike will be right back.
Hey guys, look at this. I can go back in time and have hair again.
Adios. The only Overwatch couple I see here is Jeff and Mike.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Mike? All right, there we go.
What do you want?
I want to talk about shipping Overwatch people, but first let me fix this. So, all right.
What are we talking? So we're talking about favorite Overwatch couples.
That's right. I want to pair up a couple of characters. So like, let me give you examples. Hang on, let me. Okay. I'm doing this.
I don't know if I buy any of them yet as like a romantic pairing. If that's
okay.
Do we mean romantic?
I think we mean romantic, and let me give you an example: Hanzo and Genji.
Jeff, those are brothers.
I don't. Are they really? Are they really related?
Yes, they're related. They're brothers. That's
he's gross. A robot now, so.
He's still kind of a person. What's wrong? What are we talking about?
Okay, apparently I didn't pay attention to the lore enough. I was just imagining them smooching.
That whole animated short about them. They call each other brother in the game nonstop.
Well, I mean, it could mean that in like the way that.
They should be together because they're both from Japan.
Okay, so other than my racism, I think that we can put that one aside. I still am gonna draw my fan fiction of it, and I won't know any better. Okay, Soldier 76 and Ana.
I don't know. Everybody's flirting with Ana in that room before you go out there. Soldier, Reinhardt, even McCree. I mean, I guess that one makes the most sense. It's so hard to it's hard to romanticize Soldier when he has that mask on, right? Like he's always just kind of mad and angry. I can't picture him having warmth with almost anybody.
But I think that's what makes it, I don't know, I think that's what makes it alluring. I think bringing those two together, it's, he's bringing down his mask. He's taking it off, and he's only going to do it with someone who's also his age.
Farrah father.
That's right. Mike, where's your name? There we go. Okay.
Sorry, what else do you have here?
Well, let me look here.
I'm curious to see how far this awfulness goes.
I know, yeah. Okay, I'm afraid I'm going to get more family members, so let me be careful.
Bastion's and Yada, they're both robots.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Bastion's got that.
Robots couple? There's a lot of questions about the robot lore.
Yeah, so they definitely are, like, they want rights, and whenever I think of, like, I mean, wouldn't that mean, like, being able to get married? Isn't that, like, one of the big ones? I don't know.
Wasn't there something about, like, no cross-robot human... Wasn't there a graffiti like that? Now I can't remember. Maybe I'm just making that up.
Mike, their love cannot be stopped by human laws.
There haven't been any, like, female-ish more robots, right? They all kind of seem to just be... There's two types, right? There's Bastions and then there's Zenyatas.
Yeah, I mean...
There's no, like, Zenyatta wearing a bow.
I mean, but they're all, like, basically... I'm, like, messing up your... There we go. All right, finally. But they're all... So they're only the two robots that are, like, fully robots. Like,
yeah, but even like the videos you see, they seem to just be, like...
asexual, which is perfectly acceptable.
Or asexual, yeah.
Yeah,
but not even asexual. They seem to lean more towards male. I don't know. Maybe I don't know why I'm saying.
Well, not like absent of gender, but like they choose not to engage in sex.
Yeah.
So okay, all right. So far we have Soldier and Ana, which is the only couple that you don't even agree with that. So this is going really well, Mike. Okay, so let me see here. How about Lucio and Symmetra?
I would put Lucio with Diva more than anything. They're trying to swap autographs or something, which you know what that means.
Well, I would say Lucio
autographs.
Yeah, I guess that is what the kids do these days. Everyone's got their own. That's it's Netflix and chill. Can I get your autograph? I don't know. I think Lucio is into Diva, but I don't know if Diva likes Lucio like that. You know?
I can't believe you just said that to me.
You know? I mean, come on.
I want to punch you for uttering that sentence.
I don't know if she likes him like that, though. Okay, all right. I'm gonna let's.
Okay, well, why Symmetra? Symmetra is like another one who's just like a super kind of cold character, right?
I know, but like she loosens it up. Like you remember that, like the Guardians of the Galaxy scene where like he gets her to listen to music and she's like, oh, that's nice. And I think if Symmetra just would like get down with the jive a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Roadhog and Junkrat. Like, they get drunk one night, and then it just happens.
What do you want me to say? What do you want me to tell you? I agree.
That's all I wanted you to say. And I think, I don't know, I think that might be it, because I'm afraid that we're not going to have anything else even close.
No, I feel like we're missing. What about Tracer? Who's Tracer?
Yeah, I guess we should figure out Tracer. Okay. Tracer. I don't know, Tracer seems like she's still like playing the field and not ready to commit to anyone. So I bet she's got she's got ongoing text messages with like most of the other Overwatch heroes. Like
I don't know who else no one else seems like I'm trying to think like who seems like personality and age appropriate. The only one I can think of is Lucio.
Yeah.
I feel like all the guys are like older except for Lucio. Are any other guys like not like old? Even McCree is like he's like he's not like the older ones. He's still kind of old.
You're right. Like most of them are. I mean, they have young versions, but most of them here are old. Winston. Who's Winston get with? I don't think we could do interspecies stuff.
I'm not going to answer that. I don't think there's a good answer for that.
Yeah, I don't think there is either. I think he's destined to be alone. Reaper. Oh, Reaper's definitely with Sombra, right? I think that's actually what kicked this all off in my head.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those weird Joker Harley Quinn relationships, maybe. Yeah. Did you love that like Reaper is just like always losing in the animated shorts?
Yes,
even Widowmaker got to like kill that robot.
Yes, that. I finally actually started watching those shorts because I hadn't watched them a bunch, but after seeing the Sombra one, I know. Yeah, well, I don't pay attention. But yes, anytime Reaper kind of eats it, it's the best because Reaper's ridiculous. All right, Mike. So I think we settled on Junkrat and Roadhog. That's the true Overwatch.
Yes, we came to a complete agreement about that.
That's our prom king and queen for Overwatch this year. I feel pretty good. We're going to do this every week, Mike. We're just going to talk about Overwatch shipping.
I need to figure out what I did wrong here.
Okay, yeah, hold it. Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, that's bad.
No, it looks good on mine.
But okay, here's okay. So it's only reversed for you, Mike. Like your thing.
Double reverse me is the problem.
No,
on this thing.
But like,
look,
yeah.
Look, here's people. I'm pointing right. I'm pointing to my right now. It's
okay.
like,
Yes, because I think. Yeah. No, and it looks like you're pointing to your right. On the thing. I don't know. Yeah. So the thing is you're looking at a recording of a recording of yourself. That's the problem. So your image is coming out, and then I'm recording that image and showing it back to you. So you are getting it's flipped for you, but it's right for everyone else.
yes, but the real question, Jeff, is who does May have a crush on?
Okay. God, yeah, it's tough. All right, I gotta
There's
actually.
also May was cryogenically frozen for 10 years, right? That's her.
I know,
shtick.
but like that gives you like that didn't stop Captain Ice or whatever that Batman villain was.
Captain Ice.
Whatever his name, I couldn't remember, and I gave up really quickly. I gave up really quickly.
Captain Ice. He's gonna get Batman.
God, I don't know. Maybe
You're just like the Jason and his Zigonauts.
so. If she's been frozen for 10 years, she could. She's a bit older, so maybe some of the older guys would appeal to her. I don't know. It's tough though. Lucio's the younger one, right? Lucio's the youngest
He was
one.
the youngest one.
Well, I mean, of the guys.
Oh, so she's gonna be the guys.
Oh, God damn it, no.
Oh, you're waiting for that.
Fine, Zarya. She's with Zarya.
I do like that, actually.
Yeah, it's actually really good. That's the good shit. All right, Mike. Wasn't
All
quite.
right.
It wasn't quite our controller ranking, was it?
No, we didn't have the GameCube to rally behind.
No, we didn't.
That's man. How great would it be if there's like a GameCube skin of a Bastion where he's just like purple and he had a handle?
And like
Oh my God.
when he ults, it like pops out of the top, and he's just like a little tank version of the GameCube. Yeah, I would appreciate that.
All right, well, let's get out of here because I need to try to get into this PTR, see if I can play Sombra at all.
Let's play some that. All right, Mike. I think let's wrap it up. This was GamesBeat Decides, a complete and utter train wreck. We're gonna do this every week. I was Jeff. That's Mike. We're gonna say goodbye and then end this thing. Thanks for showing up, everybody.